Welcome to the Pulse with Peter Urbina. I'm your host, Peter Biancamano. Let's get you to the pulse on everything you need to know. And we're here at the beautiful Placa sul Laki, located at 62 Newark Street. And the person to my right might look familiar because just a few weeks ago, she was here trying some of their most popular dishes, and she had to come back. And of course, that's Megan Ixim of @Miss_Giggles on Instagram. Great to see you again.
It's so nice to see you too, Peter. I'm so excited to be back here. I had such a fantastic time snacking, eating, tasting all of the flavors Greece has to offer. And I'm excited to chat.
All right. What else were you doing before you tried some of the dishes there, Megan? Do you want to say that on camera or no?
No, I'm good. It's a family show.
It's a family show. That's right. Exactly. All right, Megan. So one of the things that we've done with Daria in the past is bring out the Places Insider title. And of course, that is your title here on the show as well.
Yes, it is.
You've been doing some traveling. You know,
I have
to all parts of the world in the last 2.5 months. So I want to start with the most distant part of the world from here, that is, and that is Bali. Let's talk about your trip to Bali, some of the food down there you had, and your experiences.
Oh my goodness. Well, I mean, this was a trip of a lifetime. I went actually with a work trip with an amazing group called Fat Girls Traveling, which focuses on inclusivity and diversity.
That's wonderful.
So I was with an incredible group of women, and we traveled throughout Bali, had every single local dish that the country has to offer.
Love that.
And I gotta say, it is the go-to place if you love spicy.
No way. Okay.
Oh yeah.
Wow. I'm a huge spice fan.
Are you?
Yeah, food and women, but different story for a different time on that latter one there.
Okay.
You know what I'm
Ooh, we
saying?
are getting a little spicy here,
we're
aren't
We're back at the Greek restaurant here. Come on now.
But yes, I mean, it is a perfect place if you happen to be a vegan,
Nice.
if you are looking to have, I mean, I honestly feel like I have never eaten better for every single meal than I did in Bali. I was starting my day with fresh fruit, a beautiful smoothie. Coffee there is absolutely incredible. Some of the best coffee I've ever had in my entire life.
Interesting. How long were you there for?
I was there for 2.5 weeks.
My goodness.
Yes.
I mean, when I want to grow up, I want to be like Megan, but she's a lot younger than me.
Oh, stop. We can't tell. It's okay.
Exactly. Oh, wow. Thank you. Wow. Flattery today. Anyway, all right. We need to move on to one of your next places because this is a little closer to the United States. And why don't we talk about Montreal?
Ooh.
Right? Montreal, Canada. I am a huge Canada fan.
Are you?
Huge. Well, I'm a
Why
hockey
is that?
fan. I'm a hockey
Wait,
fan.
what hockey team?
Of course, the New York Rangers. The only hockey team worth liking. Oh, she's booing me on air. Are you a Devils fan?
Oh, you know it.
Oh, boring.
New
Anyway, you're like one of 5 fans that they have. But anyway, so let's talk about Montreal. So Montreal has, of course, the French influence.
Yes.
Was that in the cuisine that you had up there as well?
Absolutely. I mean, it almost felt like I was back in Paris.
Wow.
And just the ambiance, the old Montreal, but the cuisine is absolutely incredible. I went to a restaurant called Pied de Cochon, and every single dish had a variation of foie gras.
Wow.
Every single one.
Okay.
So I basically had to get rolled out of that restaurant.
I mean, you just kept having it, correct?
Oh my God.
That is
It was
too
just
funny.
like one dish after the other, just decadence and the wine selections. And I happen to love French food, but I don't think I can have escargot for a couple of weeks.
Okay.
Yes, it kind of went escargot.
Yeah,
out,
exactly,
but
like, you know.
Montreal, food destination, incredible choices. And you can never go wrong after a couple of drinks with a little bit of poutine.
So, I'm a huge fan of poutine, huge, and a lot of different places here. And you know, as you get closer to Canada, they make it better and better because obviously they have that influence. But here in like maybe you'll find a spot in New York to make a good poutine. But
No, you'll have a spot locally.
Okay.
Yeah, Worst Bar absolutely has a
well,
great
there you go.
poutine.
There
Just
you
to
go.
drop, a little local flavor.
I like that. So now, you went up to Montreal during the winter.
I did.
I was going to say, like, that is a one of the worst times to go up there because weather-wise. But how was the
Oh my
weather?
God. It snowed every
Okay.
single day, but it almost made it like a magical snow globe. It was a
like
winter
that.
wonderland. And there was an igloo fest
Oh,
on a pier where you could just hang out in some igloos, drink hot chocolate, and enjoy how freezing cold you are.
that is. I mean, nothing else to do up there, right? And then spike the hot chocolate with something, no?
I mean, yes, you have to drink to stay alive.
It's a family show, she said
It's
before.
a family show.
All right, let's talk about another place. Again, she did this in like 2.5
Oh,
months.
gosh.
I mean, this is
I
like
have
insane.
a blessed life.
I mean, yeah, seriously. Let's talk about the third place that we want to, that we wanted to discuss on this segment, which of course is Puerto Rico, which is a territory of the United States. Don't need your passport to go there, folks.
No, you don't.
So now, did you do Puerto Rico before or after Montreal?
Before, and it
Okay.
was 4 days after Bali. So I was home for a total of 5 days in December.
Did you have time to do laundry there, Megan?
Just about.
Right, yeah, I was going to say.
But luckily, similar clothing for Bali and Puerto Rico. So it wasn't too hard. I just had to wash and then put back into the suitcase.
All right. I like that. I like that a lot. Why did you go to Puerto Rico? Some of the cuisine, of course, we don't have to, explain that in great
Incredible.
detail. And again, your experience down there.
Yeah, I mean, I went to Puerto Rico actually on a family trip with my partner's family, which
nice.
was really fun. And so it was about 8 of us exploring Puerto Rico, spending time in Old San Juan, doing a little bit of resort hopping.
That's awesome.
But I mean, Puerto Rico is such vibrancy. The people are absolutely incredible. And it honestly is just a beautiful island. And because I grew up off the Caribbean in Guatemala, you know, it feels like almost going to a second home. So it's one of my favorite places. And the cuisine, they are having some amazing new restaurants and new chefs in San Juan. The culture and the food has really been elevated. One of my favorite places I definitely want to shout out is by a really hip chef called Celeste that every week the menu changes, has cool hip hop.
That's awesome.
The space has art from his own collection that he decides to turn and change every month. And, you know, I really like a place that has amazing food and allows it to speak for itself, but you can really feel how much heart is put into it.
That's awesome. That is fantastic. So now these are, like I said, in 3 different parts of the world,
Yes.
basically. So you went to Bali first, and I believe that the weather was good in Bali when you were there, correct?
Oh my, well, it was hot.
It was hot. Yeah.
It was hot.
Exactly.
And there was
Exactly.
3 earthquakes while I was there.
Please explain. We have some time.
Yes.
So did you actually feel the trembles? or?
Yes, I had to explain to my partner while we were taking a nap at 4 p.m. while the entire hotel was swaying.
Oh my goodness. That is scary. Are you sure you just didn't have like a lot to drink earlier in the day and
Yeah, luckily I was sober at this time, or else, you know, I probably have been like, I'm just really dizzy.
Exactly.
Luckily, everyone was okay.
Well, I tell you what, we're honored because you literally went from Bali to Puerto Rico to Montreal to the Pulse with Peter B.
Oh,
To
yes.
see me. And I can tell you that this was probably your worst experience, but that's okay.
Oh, stop. This is always a highlight of my week, my month. I'm so thankful to be
love
here.
it. And back at Plakos Souvlaki, which has this awesome Greek fair that you had a few weeks ago.
Oh my God. And now I'm just like, okay, if I can't go to Greece right now, at least I get a little taste of Greece at home.
Exactly. Might as well, right? Megan Ixim. So I'm gonna put you back against the wall here a little
Okay.
bit. I want you to rate.
Are
the
you
three-
kidding
yes,
me?
Yes. And if you don't want to, that's fine. We'll go to commercial break.
Okay,
We're running out of
all
time.
right, all
But
right.
rate your destinations in terms of what you thought you liked best.
Okay. I'm going to go with Puerto Rico,
Puerto Rico.
Montreal, and Bali.
Wow. I never in a million years thought you would have put that in that order.
I did have food poisoning in Bali, so that might have turned my opinion a little bit.
Well, there you go. All right. So hit up Puerto Rico and Montreal, and then if you want to get sick, go to Bali. No, I'm kidding. That's a joke, folks. That is a joke.
Don't get me banned from Bali, Peter.
Exactly. I will not. Megan Ixim of @Miss Giggles. Thank you so much for coming back. I really appreciate
Thank you so
it.
much. It's so nice.
Exactly. We look forward to seeing you in the future.
Oh, I can't look forward to it.
Our Places Insider telling us all the great places to go. Thanks again. All right, folks. We will be right back.
Welcome to Hudson River Care and Counseling. Hello, I'm Dr. Pam Pater Ennis, the CEO and founder of Hudson River Care and Counseling with over 30 years of clinical social work experience and therapy. We are a progressive counseling and coaching practice with a diverse team that brings a holistic approach to clients. We offer support both in person and through digital platforms such as telehealth. Consider us a safe haven that you can trust with care for your mental health needs. Visit our website to set up a consultation today.
Peter Biancamano, your hostess with the mostest of the Pulse with Peter B. Folks, don't forget to go on our Facebook and our Instagram pages by searching The Pulse with Peter B, and like and follow us on each of those platforms. We're constantly updating those pages with previews of each week's segments and cool stories. Also, if you have any questions, feel free to reach out to our email address at thepulsewithpeterb@gmail.com.
Welcome back. I'm your host with the most, Josh Sotomayor Einstein, and I'm so glad and honored to be joined by Jersey City Board of Education President Natalia Ioffe. How you doing?
Good, Josh. Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you for being friends with me. You're one of my very few friends, and I'm not including Peter because no one wants to be friends with him. But last time we had you on the program, you weren't Board of Education president yet, and there was an election for the BOE.
Yes.
So tell the viewers out there in TV land and the internets, how did that turn out?
Well, you may remember also asking me who I would support in that election, and I described the team of, it was a great combination also in my mind of educators and a parent who was very involved in the community and a mom of several children in the district. And so that team won. I'm very happy to say they're now a part of my team as the Board of Education, which are 9 people who are like the city council in the sense that they are also a council of 9 people who are governing in that sense over an entity, which in this case is the school district and almost $1 billion budget. But unlike city council members, we are completely unpaid, run on our own resources, and it's a purely volunteer position. So it's a very involved job, but with very little compensation other than your conscience being your own reward. So
I feel you, and I feel the dedication and the volunteerism and the community spirit, for Jersey City emanating from you. And I'd like to say, not only are these boards and councils and whatnot made up of 9 members, but so was the Fellowship of the Ring and the Lord of the Rings. And I think you're Frodo. I think you're the hero of the story. You're complicated, and you're kind of, our de facto correspondent, so to speak, from Jersey City. So other than, I'm sure.
Thank you for saying that.
I'm sure you got tons of stories of what's going on in the Board of Education and how trying to make education there even better. But what else is going on in Jersey City outside of the Board of Education?
Well, if you would allow me to talk a little bit about the Board of Education.
No, you're not allowed. You're not allowed. Of course you're allowed.
Only because it also can kind of call back to what we talked about last time in the summer. You did mention the budget. That was, at the time, it was much discussed in our community. The $1 billion budget that the school board has that is so much bigger than even the municipal budget, which of course wasn't entirely true. I didn't have an opportunity to really go into it last time, but I just want to, describe a couple of nuances because it is important. School budgets are not simply, the money that is the operational budget that the school district uses to run its schools, which means salaries of staff, supplies, whatever the case may be. A lot of categories in those budgets pertain to charter school allocations, even some parochial school allocations, believe it or not. Funds that came purely for COVID time frame to support, to fill the learning gap, so through mental health services or cleaning supplies, whatever, again, can be earmarked for that definition. So hence the large figure. But once you strip away everything, all the supplementals, you realize that the operational budget of our school district has really not increased by all that dramatically. So at the end of the day, our schools still need to survive. We have close to 100 buildings. I think that makes about 40 plus schools of various ages. And it's a huge responsibility. And that's a responsibility that I certainly feel on my shoulders. I know my team feels it. So it's very important. And so to your question about what else is happening, we always have elections happening. Jersey City is a very political town.
Oh, it's not just Jersey. Like it's everywhere in New Jersey. There's always elections.
Exactly. And I like to say that, politics is a competitive, it's everyone's favorite competitive sport.
Full contact sport, folks. Full contact.
Yes, exactly. So, but we wouldn't be here, if we didn't understand it, and I guess if we didn't feel it was worth it to some extent. So the sacrifices are worth it, and the fight is definitely worth it, because you see the rewards. And in my case, I definitely see the rewards, because I see that the work that we do, paid or not paid, but when you get a team together that can collectively brainstorm and manage an enormous machine such as the school district, and really understand what the vision is. It's great to have a vision, number one. So one of the things that really changed since the last time we spoke was that the superintendent brought forth an actual vision plan, a strategic plan that the entire community has worked on for an entire year. And that involved community members, parents, staff, teachers, administrators, to really decide where do we want to go from here and for the next 5 years. So that is something that for me personally will be the absolute top priority. You will always have problems. I call them like fires. A lot of our jobs are like putting out fires, and that eats up most of the time. But fires aside, you need to have a mission. Without vision, people perish. I'm not afraid to say that.
You need to have a destination.
Absolutely.
There's always going to be stops along the way.
Absolutely. And distractions will come, and you could, manage them as best as you can. But vision is very important. So hopefully we'll be able to accomplish, good results within the next year that comes. Because I know, I'm very realistic. I realize it's a short-term gig. Titles come and go in politics. So, we shall see. I'll do my best with it.
So, to the question I asked,
Yes.
What else is going on in Jersey City?
Well, we have the mayoral election coming up, I guess, but that's not for another few years. If that's your question.
It's interesting because Fulop said that he's not going to run again.
Right. Well, I'm assuming he'll run for something else, which will, whatever his personal decision may be, but that opens up a field for other players, right? And I'm sure that, it will, a certain Game of Thrones will begin soon.
Great show.
So my one perspective on that entire process is that I will always judge these potential candidates, these contenders, on how they will perceive our schools and how much are they willing to really take ownership of these schools. And by ownership, I don't mean privatization or any type of manipulative approach. I mean actual responsibility, the way a parent would, the way a real leader would. So that is my that is how I plan to to evaluate what's to come.
Well, it's important to see which candidate for mayor is going to say that they promise to stop underfunding the schools, because historically with all the pilots, the Jersey City school system has gotten the shaft. And, I don't know if you agree with me. I don't know if you disagree with me. I'm pretty sure that, being an elected official, you may be more hemmed in what you're going to say. But I can say it that, the powers that be in Jersey City have given the shaft to the education system there.
Oh, I could say that in my position, no problem. Just because it's something that has been said and that needs to be said. I think that one of the elephant in the room is the taxpayer, right? But they're a vocal elephant in the room, and they have been. It has been a point of discussion. The board members are constantly caught between a rock and a hard place, right? Do we love our children and do we want them to, learn in functioning, well-staffed schools, or do we want to survive as a community and be able to pay our bills? What a great, choice to make.
Not good choices
right.
in any direction.
So one of the things that we're contending with right now, even as a current school board, is that how do we help our district administration plan the budget, this year's budget, in such a way that it doesn't hopefully affect the taxpayer, or if it affects them, it could be the humane and well, the taxpayers are, there's the children and then there's the taxpayer, because those are the parents ultimately. We can't have one without the other. We shouldn't have to choose. We shouldn't have to split the baby, as I call it.
All right, you shouldn't have to choose the chicken or the egg. But in our last 30 seconds, what do you have to say to people out there in the TV land and on the internets?
Oh, goodness. That's such an open-ended question.
I know, right? I love the open-ended questions.
Hug your
Never
children.
know where they're gonna go.
Support your schools. And maybe since that was something that you wanted to ask, but didn't, Slava Ukraini. Because as
Heroem Slava.
There you go. As a Ukrainian, I have to say that. Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Thank you so much for joining us. Stay tuned. We'll be right back.
Peter Biancamano back with you. Don't forget to watch us on cable access every Sunday and Monday at 9 a.m. Optimum Channel 18, Fios Channel 46, and Comcast Channel 190. Also on Sunday mornings at 9:30 a.m., you can watch our show on our YouTube channel, and you can also binge watch all of our old shows. Who doesn't want to keep watching The Pulse with Peter B? We'll see you there. Welcome back to The Pulse with Peter B. Peter Biancamano back in the studio, and we want to thank our friends over at Plaka Souvlaki, located at 62 Newark Street. The whole mile walk from the Greek restaurant to here, I had to digest all that delicious food because there's plenty to digest in this segment, because backed by popular demand is our guest sports insider, Joey Jarzynka. Welcome back, good sir.
Peter, thank you so much, man. I'm happy to be back here.
Exactly. We're so happy to have you. He comes from long and far to come to Jersey, so this is like an honor for us. It really, really is. Just don't tell Tony Richardson, the former NFL fullback. Anyway, we love you, Tony. We love you. So, Joey, we have reached the end of February here, which means that the madness is starting. And that, of course, is March Madness. And the locals. I mean, there's been some surprises, and I think we need to start with that. What has been your biggest surprise so far from the local college basketball teams?
I think the biggest part, especially on this side of the river, Peter, is all about Seton Hall. They were not supposed to be winning a lot of these games. They were not supposed to be winning really a lot of games under first-year head coach Shaheen Holloway, and the reason being is because he's a first-year head coach. A lot of the players are all from the last coaching regime with Kevin Willard, and you've got guys like Trey Jackson, you've got guys like Tyrese Samuel, who were kind of pretty much thrown into the lineup, and they really don't have any semblance on the offensive side of things. The defensive side of the ball is what Shaheen Holloway, that is his bread and butter. He always says, and he even said in Big East Media Day back in October, the defense is first, offense will then come. So you got a chance to see the evolution of Trey Jackson. You got to see Kadari Richmond find his own, because in the beginning of the season also, he was supposed to be red hot coming out of last year's season. Preseason all Big East selection on the second team. Did not start like that, but now towards the end of the season, he's really coming to his own. Amazing stuff for Seton Hall.
And Joey loves to butter me up, starting, of course, with my alma mater at Seton Hall. And you're 100% right. And I'm just going to follow up on something you mentioned there. Shaheen Holloway and his defensive mindset when it comes to coaching. He kind of did the same thing at St. Peter's when they made that magical run last year, no?
Oh, yeah. There's no doubt about it. And you could look at really their number one player from St. Peter's, Casey Ndefo, where he was a big part in what St. Peter's had succeeded in last year, and now he's one of the best defensive players in the Big East this season with Seton Hall. There was no doubt when Shaheen Holloway came over, Peter, from St. Peter's, that he was going to bring someone with him. Was it going to be Ndefo? Was it going to be a few other guys? And Ndefo made the trip over from Jersey City to Newark, and he has blossomed. He's one of the blocking leaders in the conference this season. Truly amazing stuff.
Defensive Player of the Year in the country last year, I believe, correct?
Yeah, absolutely.
Just incredible. Mm-hmm. Absolutely incredible. All right, I don't really want to talk about them, but I know you do. And let's talk about the rivalry. We used to say better dead than red when I was at Seton Hall. And, of course, I'm talking about those Scarlet Knights. I mean, they're having an incredible season now.
Yeah, there's no doubt. And, again, you brought up about Seton Hall before, and I want to just bring up, too, Rutgers and Seton Hall. They played one another in the Garden State Hardwood Classic. And
we won.
And Seton Hall won, down at the Rack, or as they call it now,
Huge.
Jersey Mike's Arena, right? We have to make sure.
I call it the Rack.
Yeah, of course, the Rack, for all of us basketball junkies. But what you've gotten to see from Steve Peichel has been truly remarkable. They were in the top 25 a few weeks ago. They went on a 3-game losing skid. They eventually bounced back. But also the thing, too, is that you look at Caleb McConnell, you look at Cliff Amori, you look at Paul Mulcahy. Those guys, that three-headed monster, Steve Peichel has really built something special down at Piscataway.
Yeah, it's just incredible. I mean, I give them all the credit in the world. And for Seton Hall to go down there and win that game, that really is probably their top win of the season to try to get into that NCAA bubble. Am I right or wrong?
Yeah, absolutely. And you know what? It is, as of right now, it's a quadrant 1 victory. And when you look at all of Rutgers' losses and all of Seton Hall's wins, that Rutgers win for Seton Hall is so crucial. And obviously down the stretch with Rutgers and their loss to Seton Hall, it's not going to hurt that much, but when they did lose to Nebraska, they had lost to Illinois too, and just before that they had lost to Indiana too, the number 18 team at the time in the country. Little skid there, but Steve Pikiell's going to get them back in business.
I love it. All right, Joey, don't go anywhere because we do need to talk about the madness, but we have to take a quick commercial break. Folks, when we come back, more from Joey Jarzynka. We'll be right back. Welcome back to the Pulse with Peter B. And I'm just feeling the madness because March is here. And who better to cover March Madness than our guest sports insider, Mr. Joey Jarzynka. Did you miss me during the commercial?
I always miss you, Peter. It's so good to see you again.
Exactly. I am just making my head bigger and bigger, Joey. I really am. Before we went to a commercial break, we were talking about Steve Pikiell's Rutgers Scarlet Knights. Sorry, that came out incorrectly there at first. And, just going into the March Madness, the NCAA tournament, what do you feel are their chances? Can they make it to maybe a Sweet 16 or an Elite 8?
Not just yet. I believe that they'll be able to win a game. I don't know if they can get to the second weekend. That would be absolutely crucial if they can in terms of the development, in terms of the recruiting as well. Keep in mind also, I just want to say this, Rutgers also has a top 15 recruit coming in next year. So this is just the start for Steve Pikiell. But if they were able to get to the Sweet 16 or possibly a regional final of the Elite 8, that would really turn things around down at Piscataway, but I simply do not see it yet. They have a tall task to do that. I don't see it yet.
I tell you what, Joey, and I think they're a lot closer in basketball. They might actually be there in basketball than they are in football.
Oh, 100. Yeah,
I think they have to go leaps and bounds
Yeah.
In football to get anywhere near a top contender in their group. So,
there's no doubt.
Absolutely. Anyway, so why don't we move on to, of course, I keep previewing it, and that's, of course, March Madness. Are there any teams in the country that you feel is just like the odds-on favorite to win the whole thing?
Yeah, and you look at, and I know for those football fans out there, they're going to say, well, how are they so good in basketball? The Alabama Crimson Tide, they are the number one team in the country. You also look at Houston too, the Cougars, they're fantastic as well. Those two teams are my favorites to take home the title this year. But again, there's a lot of teams out there though that can really that can play spoiler, and I look at. Back in the Big East, I look at Creighton.
Interesting.
And I believe that Creighton definitely has the ability to make it to a Final Four this year. And the reason why is because towards the end of the season with Creighton, you got a chance to see their center Ryan Kalkbrenner make his return after missing, I think it was 3 or 4 games with an undisclosed illness. That took them out of the top 25 and pretty much skidded down the road in terms of what's going to happen with Greg McDermott's team. And right now, what he has done, as well as Kalkbrenner and everyone in there, I would not be surprised if they make a run in the tournament. But in terms of odds-on favorite to win the whole thing, it's Alabama. They're unstoppable.
That's absolutely incredible. Yeah. It really is. Let's go back to Creighton, because Creighton was one of those teams that started the Big East play, and I believe they lost 3 of their first 4 games or something like that. And people were questioning them. They were in 6th or 7th in the Big East, and we talk about underdog teams in the tournament. You mentioned Creighton. Anybody else comes to mind?
Oh, Marquette. And I'll tell you this, back on Media Day, back in October at Madison Square Garden, Peter, we got a chance to hear from a few of the Marquette guys, and they were selected 9th in the preseason coaches poll. There were a couple of players that said a few explicitives to that, and they were not happy at all. And right now, they are in the top 15 in the nation. What Shaka Smart has done with this program, you look at Oso Ighodaro, you look at Tyler Kolek, one of the top 3-point shooters in the country, and then you also look at this brand new player who's come out of nowhere in Olivier Max Prosper. take a look, folks, because if you don't know who he is, you're going to find out in March Madness. Marquette is definitely a sleeper team for me in addition to Creighton.
I love it. It's the best time of year. It's like the Super Bowl is over, so we have like almost a month, almost like 6 weeks to get ready for the tournament.
Oh, yeah.
And it is phenomenal. There's nothing better.
Best time of the year, Peter.
I
Easily.
completely agree. Joey Jarzynka, our guest sports insider. Now, I want you back to talk about a little baseball. Can you promise me that?
Easily. I will be back whenever the guests need me, whenever you need me, Peter. We could talk about, we could go anywhere.
I'll tell you what,
I'm
we'll
down.
talk after the segment. I absolutely love it. Thanks for coming by again.
Thank
really,
you,
really
Peter.
appreciate
Appreciate
it. All right, folks, join us next week for The Pulse on everything you need to know. I'm Peter Biancamano. I hope you have a great week, everybody.